Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2 of the Draft to Glory Montreal Expos. Yes, this is the second episode in this new series, YouTube exclusive. Once I post it up there and leave it for a few days, I may put it over on my Twitch channel. But right now, YouTube gets these episodes first. Thank you for those that have been watching that first episode and supporting and leaving the likes. And yeah, feel free to leave some comments. I like to have some fun with the OOTP development engine sometimes. And this is my first Draft to Glory series. We are starting in 1901, and I changed the Boston Bee meters to the Montreal Expos just to make it a little more personal for myself. Trades are off. Injuries are off. We have no free agent signings. We must build a team through the draft. Yes, only through the draft. We're going to try and win a championship, see how many years it takes us, but we can only get players by drafting them. Last episode, we had the inaugural draft, and we took the worst of the worst. We want to start at the lowest talent level possible. So we drafted 1 stars, 1.5 stars, a few 2-star players. Here is our pitching rotation, and here is our batters. Yeah, don't have very good players. We lost our first game in the first episode 13-4, and now we're gonna sim through a lot of the season right here, and by the end of the episode we are going to make our first official good player draft at the end of the 1901 season. Every once in a while we will go and we will stop a little bit, take a look at how our players are doing, what the stats are like. But as you can see, we are 0-10. We're not very good. We wanted to start bad, and OOTP is proving that we are starting bad. Let's go another month here until we get to the end of May. Again, 1901, so we're in the Deadball Era. Not a lot of home runs. And of course, you don't need a large pitching staff because these guys could go out every day or every second day. So right now on our pitching staff, we have a 2-man rotation, and look at this. We have a few wins. In the month of April, not very good. But hey, we did not get blown out as much as I thought we would. Only 2 double-digit losses. That is kind of a small victory in this series. In May, we did have our first franchise win. Here it is. It is on record now in the recording. Episode 2 sees the very first win for the Montreal Expos, a 2-1 victory over Brooklyn. Of course, we have our band of misfits, the Bad News Bears. They have some pretty good players, including Cookie. They got a Cookie on their team. They've got Slade, got some cool name players. They got Leo, so they have some talent, and we were able to beat them 2-1. First victory goes to Sox. Sox, you are now a legend in Expo Draft to Glory history. We were able to get a few more wins too, 10-8 over Cincinnati. Woo! This team had 10 runs. I can't believe it. So Jesmiel Valentin led the way. Nice showing there. He went 2 for 4, 3 runs, 2 RBIs. And again, Sox didn't get the win. Gave up quite a few runs. Another 2-1 victory, 2-1 victory. Lost a doubleheader. Looks like the first doubleheader of our franchise. And going into June, we are playing St. Louis, Chicago a few times, Philadelphia. So let's go ahead and sim this month out, and then we'll take a little closer look at some of the individual players. Again, not expecting to do too well for a few seasons because building through the draft, we're only going to get maybe 2 or 3 good players every year, and we need at least probably 15 to be competitive. How did the Expos June go? Well, let's say we started it weak, but we finished it strong. 5-4 victory in 11 innings, 4-3 in 12 innings, couple wins in that last week. Well, do we look at the standings? I guess we kind of have to. So let's go take a look at the 1901 standings. Where is Montreal? They are dead last. But you know what? Considering we took the worst possible players in the draft, we're not too far behind Detroit. What's going on with the Tigers? Chris Bando, Jay Johnstone, Pinky May, Ross Stripling. Again, we're using historical players from all different time periods. So that's why you see a current player like Ross Stripling playing in 1901, Kyle Tucker playing in 1901. So it's kind of cool because you have that mystery of when are these players going to be introduced into the game. And for more details on the settings and how you construct a league like this, go back, watch video number 1. I go through kind of all the steps on how you can build your own historical franchise. Pitching wise, we have our 2 starters. Sox is 5 wins and 5 wins and 25 losses. Don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame at that rate. Fritz Peterson is the second pitcher we have. He is currently at 3-26. Only 2 saves on the season, one for Duke Shirley and one for Mike Wood. Let's take a look at our hitters. Again, our highest overall hitter, 1.5 stars. Ben Taylor, here he is, the captain of the franchise, the guy that I believe got our first RBI of the very first game. I think this is the guy I'm thinking of. Let me go back to the schedule. So I wouldn't want to mislead you here. And in terms of that very first game from episode number 1, yeah, it was Mr. Taylor who did have an RBI. Perry had a couple RBIs, but I believe it was Ben that had the first one. So he is anointed team captain right out of the gate. Stats, let's take a look at how these players are doing in the overall statistics of this season. Okay, we got our batters, and we want all of the levels. Average wise, well, we have a couple bench players hitting over 300. Maybe they shouldn't be on the bench, but in terms of our starters, it looks like Kermit Wall, Ben Taylor, our captain, kind of leading the way. Not much to write home about there. Most of the players are under, in fact, all starters are hitting under 250 for an average. Stolen bases, though, we got Kermit with 3 stolen bases and 8 attempts. Let's take a look at that speed. Okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense. 21-year-old. So maybe he'll stick around on the team for a while. First chance I get, most of these guys are going to be gone. So there you go. There is our pitching stats, our hitting stats as we head into the month of July. Let's sim out July. I think, I don't know if OOTP will have to check on it later if they program all-star games, even though they may have not have been played in real life during that season. The Expos, 40 games out. You think we can make a run to the playoffs? The good news is we're not officially eliminated. And the better news is we got an achievement. First time 21 scoreless innings by Sox Seibold. Well, that is impressive. My man Sox. 21 scoreless innings. I don't know how that happened to work out, but let's take a look at our pitching stats here. You can look at the different game logs and 21 scoreless innings, I guess. That would be in this kind of part right here, giving up 0. This might have been an unearned run. So let's take a look at this 2-1 win. Sox, yeah, he gave up an earned run there. then I guess it still works out to 21 innings somehow, but only over really a 2-game period. So maybe this game here, 1-0 victory. He pitched all 9 innings. Okay, I guess it works out somehow, even though it doesn't look that way on the stat sheet here. He is 11-32 now. Good season for Sox, considering he doesn't really have much of a team behind him. All-Star game doesn't look like there has been an All-Star game. Nope. So we are going to let's take a look at the schedule just to be sure, though, because it always puts All-Star games on the schedule in July. And no, okay, good. It is sticking to real life implementation of the All-Star games. But look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 victories in the last 6 games. These guys are starting to put it together, being 40 games back. I guess they're trying to impress me to stick around for next season. All right, let's go ahead to the end of August. We'll get through the playoffs and our first draft. Montreal Expos are now the first team to be eliminated. Come on, Detroit, join us. Join us as the only eliminated teams. No, Chicago, the Orphans. Another achievement for us, number 2 in the season, Player of the Week. Wow. I think I have our team MVP for season 1. So, in a league where we drafted the worst players, we happened to get a player that was the NL Player of the Week, including a 7-hit shutout. So, Sox, let's take a look at your pitching stats here. You are now 14-41. Love the synchronicity. Opposite numbers there. 41 losses. And your pitcher of the week, 5.4 or 5.7 WAR for the season. Let's go and take a look at our hitters. 342. Kelly Stinnett is on the bench. I think he may have kept his job. Look at that. Kelly Stinnett. So 27 hits and 79 at-bats as a 1.5-star player. So I think, Kelly, you have earned for the rest of the season to be our starting catcher, because Mark Stewart just not doing the job. So I'm going to make an executive decision as manager. Kelly is coming in. But Kelly, don't get too confident. We're not going to move you too high up in the lineup. Put you in the number 7 slot. Okay, let's take a look. I think we only have one more month to go in the regular season, September, and a few games in October. So I'm calling for. I'm gonna be really brave and call for 5 victories. 5 victories. Let's call 8. 8 for the remainder of the season. So let's sim up to the end of the regular season. Come on, Expos. And we're not going to jump into games until we get a little more competitive, because they're going to be blowouts for the most part. We will sim and kind of watch the first game of every season for the first few seasons, but really, 28 win team, we don't need to pay too much attention to it. All right, how many wins did we get to end off the season? 1, 2, 3, looks like 4. 4 wins. Well, let's take a look at what our highest productive scoring game was in our first season. We had I guess 6 runs is the highest there. 10 runs. We looked at that game. So 10 runs, 8 runs. This month here, 7 runs. Don't see any other major score fests. In August, some pretty low scoring games for our part in August. September, the most we scored in September, a lot of losses there, was probably 5 or 6. So 10 runs is our highest scoring game as a franchise so far. Well, let's go through and go to the playoffs and find out who wins this first season. It is going to be the Washington Senators up against the St. Louis Cardinals in 1901. They've got Ozzie Guillen. They've got Ted Williams. Ted was the first overall pick in the inaugural draft, so kind of makes sense. He's going to make the World Series. They've got three-man rotation: Russ Ortiz, Tom Seaton, George Hemming. I'd say they're the favorites. They're going up against the Cardinals, who did have a better regular season record. Pete Browning, Rich Arilla, Jackson Profar, Ken Caminiti, Johnny Antonelli. And okay, well, I am changing my mind. I think I'm going to give it to St. Louis in 6 games. I think Ted's going to win him a couple. So let's go to the end of the playoffs. And they won it in 5. I thought they might take it in 6, but the St. Louis Cardinals are our first World Series winner. And look at that. I need to frame that. Your score is 1. 1. Well, the good news is we can only go up from here, right? It can't get much worse than that. 1. All right, let's take a look at the World Series. And the MVP of the World Series was John Antonelli. Looks like he got into 3 games, 2 victories, and he did pitch 1 inning in a 3-1 loss. So Deadball Era, these guys might even come in relief. Curious to look at the St. Louis setup here with the Cardinals. So they are allowing starting pitchers in relief, which is a smart move. Good move during the Deadball Era. League-wise, let's take a look around and see who won some awards. Let me just check the news here, first of all. Make sure we're not missing anything. Retiring, we've got Mike Morgan. Mike, 39-year-old pitcher. Sorry, Mike, you didn't get much of a career in this league. But thank you for your 7 games of service, your 25.2 innings of work. You will be remembered. Your jersey won't be retired, but you will be remembered. End of season prospect list. Hey, we've got someone on the top prospects. Herbert Jackson. We drafted round 23, pick 4 in round 23. Remember, we are on kind of a weird talent generation setting. So even though we drafted him as a 1 star, probably a 1.5 star, he's up to a 3 potential. So good to see that. That counts. We get that. We draft players and we get their talent changes as the years go on. So Herbert Jackson, you were up there with John Knight, John Roper, and Joe Corbett as the top prospects. All right, let's go to our award winners and find out who wins the hardware this year in 1901. And to do that, we go to league history. We go to the index. We go to awards. Starting in the AL, Ted Williams, the most valuable player, hitting 341. 14 home runs in dead ball. That's magnificent. Ted Williams. Too bad you're 34, Ted. You don't have many more years in this league. Vinegar Bandamazel is your Cy Young winner. 51 games, 23 wins, a 2.46 ERA. Well-deserved, young man. How old are you? 23. Okay, I see a very long future in your career. Real life, he played probably about 10 seasons in the league, almost a 500 record. I think he's going to pass that in the draft to glory. And rookie of the year, well, of course, because we're in our first inaugural season, everyone is a rookie. So that goes to Ted Williams. Let's take a look at our NL winners. Pete Browning from the Championship Cardinals is the MVP, 347 average, 124 stolen bases. My, oh my, 42 doubles, 116 runs. Yeah. Where did he go in the draft? Fifth overall. So Ted went number 1. He goes number 5. Great pick by the Cardinals. Cy Young Award winner, a real life former Giant, I believe. Yes, played his entire career in San Francisco. Matt Cain, member of the Cincinnati Reds, is the Cy Young winner. He went number 3 overall. So Ted went 1, Matt went 3, and we had Pete go number 5. And of course, Pete Browning is your rookie of the year. We are now in game at the draft pool reveal and taking a look at who the game has brought in. Let's take a look at that first round mock draft. We are projected to have first pick. Now, I have turned on the draft lottery, which does involve the first 4 teams, but I turned it on at the end of this season. So it may not kick in until next season. Either way, we are going to have a draft lottery coming up. Arlie Latham, Joe Sewell. We've got Gavi Kravitz, David Ortiz, David Price. We got some big names in this draft. Andrew Jones, Bob Hale. And then we go to the second round, some familiar names, Scott Richmond, Chris R. Young, Cherokee Fisher. We've got Randy Wolf. We've got, who else? Should be another few more big names here as we go to round 3. Josh Hader. So current modern day player, projected to go round 3. Johnny Oates, Vinny Pastano, Willie Wilson, one of my favorite players from the 80s. Pidgey Morgan. We got Angel Sanchez, Larry Cox, Lori Garcia. Who else might you guys recognize? And as we go deeper in the draft, not as many familiar names. Mike Stanton might be the most familiar name there I see in round 5. So those are the players that we have to choose from. We will find out if the draft lottery kicked in now. But first of all, we got to go to the Hall of Fame. I have the Hall of Fame again set to inductions after 2 years after retirement. So we're not going to see any Hall of Fame movement here, I think. And to cast your ballot, yeah, no one in the Hall of Fame. And again, just to show you here in the rules, we've got the draft lottery turned on, and the draft lottery is supposed to happen at the actual draft. And Hall of Fame, somewhere on here, we've got the Hall of Fame. After 2 years, players can get inducted, and I'm gonna vote for the Hall of Fame. Sure, let me vote too. Okay, let's go to the draft. The first real player draft for the Montreal Expos. Let's go in here. Let's check our news first of all. Draft lottery has been announced. And even though we were the worst team in the league, we pick number 2. I'll take it. So the Super Bras from Brooklyn move up 3 spots. They're going to draft number 1, the Montreal Expos, with the second pick overall. Okay, mock draft. Let's see if that's changed. We're still projected to get the same player. So Gavi Kravitz has moved up. He's shot up the draft board. Let's see if Brooklyn takes the projected number 1 pick. And no, they don't. They take the player that was projected for us, which is kind of a bummer because I was hoping to get this premier shortstop with the number one pick. So right out of the gates, we are not getting the player I thought we would. So let's take a look who the scouting director recommends. They are recommending the projected number one overall. Again, K's not really happy with that, but in real life, he played pretty close to this era. So we can kind of see what his stats are like in real life playing in the early 1900s. I want to take a look. Pitching definitely is going to be a need. Probably the number one priority is an all-star starter. And then after that, shortstop, center field. Not really, don't really want a power hitter yet because it is dead ball. There aren't a lot of home runs. So I'm not overly concerned about power. So starter or a defensive with some Babbitt shortstop center fielder. Okay, let's go to the draft. Let's sort by potential. And really, batter wise, Sewell, Ortiz, kind of the top batters. Yeah, let's add these guys to a short list. Let's go and no, I think we'll leave it like that. Man, let's create a new short list. Why not? Create short list, and let's just call this one. Okay, so let's go back to the draft. This is important here. We got to make sure we get a premier player. So I've got all the players here. Let's just go with our 5 stars. And we've got everyone from 17-year-old, is that Jeff? Jay O'Neill, 17. And we've got a couple 25-year-olds. So because we're thinking long term, I don't think I'm going to go with the two 25-year-olds. So we're going to take them off the short list. All right, let's go back. Player short list. Selected short list, 1901. Okay, here's who we have to choose from in terms of potential. Joe Sewell, shortstop. Really good build for a 1901 era. In played just kind of at the end of the dead ball period. I like this guy. He looks good. He's all ready to go. 20 years old. Looks like he could have a long career in Montreal. Pidgey Morgan, another hitter. I don't like him as much. Although he is a two-way player, but that 20 stamina is just not going to do it. So Pidgey, you're off the board. Again, another reliever. Don't want the reliever. Catcher. Still developing really good speed. And David Ortiz. Again, I don't want a home run guy. So, David, you're off the books. So, it is going to be Joe Sewell. I can't pass this guy up. I think everyone watching, that would probably be your obvious choice, Joe Sewell. So, let's go and draft him. First member of the Montreal Expos official draft. Welcome, Joe Sewell. Okay, skipping ahead to round 2. They are projecting Ed Scott. So we still have Pidgey Morgan, one of our two shortlisted players, but that 20 real life, yeah, we don't know. He didn't really make anything out of his pitching. Is more in the batting, and even then, I don't think I want to risk it. Not this early into our franchise. So Pidgey, we're gonna remove you from the short list. And let's we better get ourselves a starter. So this draft doesn't have many. It's only got a handful. And Cherokee, although I said I wasn't going to take a 25-year-old, he could play another 10 years in the league. He could be part of the team when we become a championship team. No one else I really want to consider for pitchers. So Cherokee, let's add you to our short list. Don't really want to worry about a reliever right now. Batters, we're already down to the 4-star prospect. Ooh, not a very deep draft here. So let's go. How far does this go down? Okay, let's add a few to our short list and we can hopefully get us through a couple rounds here. Love this feature in OOTP that you can go to the different shortlist areas and view your team. Okay. Somehow I chose the wrong one there. Staffshire player shortlist. There we go. 1901. Okay. Potential. And I'm glad it shows you which players are drafted already because that makes it really easy to take them off our short list. A lot of catchers. Pat Mullen seems to be the highest rated player left. Pat Mullen. Real life. Yeah, he hit for some pretty good average. 21 years old. Remember that OOTP won't necessarily give you the same real life accurate player because of the random talent generation. It could change. They could be better. They could be worse. Bob Hale. Again, don't really want to worry about power. Now, Andrew Jones is interesting because he was a darn good player in real life, especially on defense. Okay. Who else do we got? Sean Barry. Don't like that makeup with all that home run. I want someone with low home run, good contact, good avoid K, some speed, defense. And catcher, I'm not too concerned about. Catching at this point in history wasn't really important. Once you get past the 1930s, then catching seems to play a more dominant role. So I'm going to go with Pat Mullen here. Can we draft him from here? No, we can't. In the second round, the Montreal Expos are proud to draft Pat Mullen. Moving ahead to round 3, I believe I programmed 10 rounds total. So not to make it too overwhelming. And probably most players are going to make the team in the first year. All right, let's go back to our short list. Who is left? Okay, we can remove these guys. 4 catchers, a couple first base, couple left fielders, and a shortstop. Again, pitching wise, maybe next round. Let's take one more. Try and get a premier batter. Bob Hale, I like ya. I like you, Bob. Again, we want that kind of E shape. And if his eye was a bit better, he would almost be perfect in terms of the batting shape that I want. E shape in the dead ball era. So you are in the lead. Let's take a look at Gary Ward. I'm going to leave catchers for now. Josh Rojas, Ken Harvey. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. We're going to take Bob Hale in round 2. Welcome to the Montreal Expos. All right, let's go and see if we can get a few pitchers now. So let's add kind of some of the top ones. I don't want relievers. Look at there's a lot of relievers available, but I don't want to waste a high pick on relievers. So let's go to starters, and there's none. Okay, then. Let's take a look at the pitching potential and who's got the highest stamina, 35. So we're looking at guys like Jeff Barkley, Sean. We're going to call you Sean. Ted Gray, Scott, and Michael. Add a couple more that are at the 30 level. We'll add all the guys that are 2.5 stars at the 30, although I don't think I'm going to take them yet just because they should still be around next round and the round after. So let's go back to add these to the short list. Let's go back to our batters. And who are the big contact guys? Contact, gap power. Let's add Joe Ward, Bruce Campbell. Don't care about eye or power. And those ones, speed. Add some of those. And defense. All right, so now we've got a bunch that we should be able to use over the next few rounds. Let's take out those that have been drafted already. All right, here we go. Taking a look at the batters. First of all, pitchers I'm going to leave, and let's take a look at the batting ratings. Okay, I think we're gonna go with Joe Ward. Got speed, 2-positional player, good gap power. Gary Ward would be the other one. What a coincidence. We got 2 Wards. So let's compare them both. Gary and Joe, 20-year-old, 24-year-old. Okay, we're going to go with the 20-year-old. Age makes the decision for me. So Joe Ward, you are the next player drafted for the Montreal Expos. Where are you, Joe? There you are. Moving on to round 5. Let's go back to the short list. Always for me in baseball, this was always the most fun part in playing OOTP was the drafting. That's what this series is about. Draft to glory. All right, let's go back and take out. Ooh, not many left here. I'm going to take out all these players from the short list. Four to choose from. And Joe Pittman, 26-year-old. Don't think I want you. One of the young Bruce Campbell and Lori Garcia. Good speed. Long way to develop. So we're not really getting any high level talent here. Although this guy, if the generation on him is good, Bruce Campbell. Take a look at our pictures. And again, let's delete those that have been drafted. Might be time to take a couple pictures. They may now be at a point where they're better than the batters that we have available. So let's go and take a look at the pitching ratings. Deadball era stuff is not that important because movement control, probably control more important. So if I'm looking at control, Ben Ford, look at this guy. He's got like 5 different pitches, a screwball, slider. Again, not getting a lot of stamina on these pitchers. They're going to be in the bullpen. Here's one that's pretty much developed, 23 years old, 2.5 stars. But I think I'm going to go with the young guy. I'm going to go with Ben Ford here. I love that movement, extreme ground baller. I plan on having really solid defense at some point. So Ben Ford, you are the 5th round pick. Let's go to round 6. Who do they recommend? Joe Pittman. Joe is on our short list here. Again, let's go to the default and take those 3 off. At this point, we can take a look at all players. So 2 of the hitters I was considering are now off the board. So 3 relievers and a couple batters. I don't mind Scott, 22 years old. I like the control, like the movement. It's a 23-year-old. And then we've got Pittman. Oh, Big Daddy. Big Daddy Blash. Look at this profile. He can't hit. Boyd K is going to strike out, but man, he might, when he does hit, it's probably a home run if it wasn't the dead ball era. Jabari, no, not for this time period. If this was the 1990s, 2000s, I would highly consider you. So we're going to go with one of the 2 relievers that I looked at. And I think Scott Blewett, what a name. Oh, for the memes, we got to draft this guy. Scott Blewett. Let's make sure, Scott, you don't live up to your name. Okay, let's go back up here. Welcome, Scott Blewett, to the Montreal Expos. Next round, do we have anyone left on the short list? One player. So let's take this. Oh, this is that hitter. No, we have no one left. I am not taking that player. So let's eliminate all of those there. Let's go back to the draft pool. And we got no starters. I don't want to take any more relievers this draft. So let's go based on the ratings that we see here. Home run is not important. Don't want to worry about home run. Gap. High. Stealing and defense. Yeah, here it's pretty much a crapshoot. You want to go probably with someone young, someone that has a chance to surprise you in development. Don't really see anyone here. Dickie Flowers, Gap, Eye, Speed. Already have a shortstop though in this draft. This is where I like to phone a friend. In the chat, who is your choice here? All right, let's take Romy just because he can play many positions. He will play on the team. I don't know for how long, but Romy is there. The scout recommends Chris. Chris Jakubowskis, I believe. Green. Jabari is still there. He's tempting me, but he's 25 years old, power hitter. Probably not going to contribute too much. Potential wise, we got 3 players left, 3 relievers that are 2-star players. 23-year-old, a 20-year-old, and no control. So we're gonna take the 20-year-old, another reliever. 2 rounds left. Okay, let's go based on age. Bob Red. This is his nickname. Bob Red Lamore. Any recognizable names here? We'll save that for the last round. Well, I don't see much here. Guys, I don't see much left. Let's go with 21-year-old. Chance to maybe develop a little bit more. Second baseman, Frank Coggins. Here we are in the last round. Not many players left in the pool. I generated a kind of a 12-round pool, but only drafting for 10 rounds. So we are going to have a few players left over. Let's take a look at some of the names. Let's just go with a cool name. Billy Bean. Deadball, not Deadball, Moneyball, Billy Bean. Okay, you're at the top of our list just for the name. Anyone else? Connie Rector. Connie Rector. Perfect team. Must be a two-way player. Not really. And this player doesn't show the real life stats. So this could be a Negro League player that we don't have the stats for. Didn't quite make it to the major leagues. Anyone else? Nope. I think we're going to go with the meme again. We're going to go with Billy Bean as our final round pick. Okay. We are done the draft. Let's go to the beginning of the next season. I guess we want to complete the draft. And here we go. Last overall pick went to St. Louis. They took Dickie Flowers, who we did take a quick peek at. And first overall, we'll see how you do. A long way to go in your contact there, Arlie. But in real life, you were a gem for the Cincinnati Reds. All right, we are almost done. Episode number 2, kind of the pattern I want to go through from start of the season through the draft to the beginning of the next season. Do kind of one season per episode, keeping it at around that 40-minute mark. And no preseason. We're not going to play any preseason games. If you missed it, injuries are off, trades are off, no free agent signing. We get what we get. Of course, the Hall of Fame won't really get kicked underway for a couple more years. And here we go. We have our team. We just have to figure out who gets called up, who plays in the big leagues, and who stays down in the minors. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2. We will show you what the roster looks like next episode and try to beat our first season mark, which shouldn't be hard to do. Again, we've got some good players that are going to come up. We've got Jackson, we've got Thorpe, we've got a few 2.5 stars, 3 stars, and of course, our number 1 overall pick in this draft. Where is he? Joe Sewell, ready to make a debut. Thank you guys. Please leave a like, share this out if you feel that there are other OOTP fans that might enjoy this series. Leave a comment. Did I pick players that maybe you wouldn't have picked? Did I miss anyone as we went through the draft? And your comments help push the algorithms to promote it to other people for their recommended lists. And I really do love the support that you pass along. See you next episode. Take care of yourself. Give what you can. Take what you need. And it's a great day for baseball. It's a great day for baseball. We'll see you next episode.